Hey, it's Darryl Syms, and in today's video we're going to be talking about how to become a more dynamic player. Being a more dynamic player is definitely a very desirable skill. It's what's going to take your guitar playing from good to great. It's something that you really want to spend time on and get good at, and in this video I'm going to give you 3 exercises to take away and practice. I'm going to go into detail about how I do the technique and also give you a handful of real-world examples and how I can inspire you to take this and actually apply it in your own playing. And hopefully that will encourage and help you to become a more dynamically controlled player. So let's get to the video. So that was a great example of a very dynamically controlled improvisational piece there. I'm going to try and demonstrate to you the difference now between a very dynamically well played piece and a non-dynamically well played piece by sort of trying to reinterpret that but with absolutely zero dynamics. Let's see what that sounds like. So it's actually quite interesting to hear the contrasting difference there and how I played almost exactly the same thing, but obviously the first version was much more engaging and the second version definitely seemed a lot more mundane. You can kind of relate this to how people talk. Now some people are more dynamically spoken, as in I like to think that I'm relatively dynamically spoken, so sometimes I'll really emphasize specific words with a bit more volume, and sometimes, I'll quieten up a bit. And that's exactly what you want to deliver on your guitar. So let's get cracking with the 3 exercises that I want to show you. They're all pentatonic based in the key of A minor. One's in 3s, one's in 4s, and one's in 6s. So let's start off with the easiest one, which I think would be 6s. Check it out. So as I mentioned, this exercise is in patterns of 6. So let's slow that down, break it down, and show you what I'm doing with the picking hand here. So we're going to play 6 notes to begin with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then jump back a string. Back a string again. And then last one. And then we're going to do the same in reverse. So hopefully it's a very easy pattern for you to follow along. It really is. This is quite a beginner's sequence here, but the trick is in the right hand here. Let's focus on the actual dynamics behind it. So I'm palm muting very slightly every single string there, and I'm really hitting the first accent very hard. So I'm going 1 and then picking the rest with more minimal movements and very softly. So hopefully you can see there's more of an accent, more of a punch in that first note as I go along. So the first beat on every bar, if you like. So that was pattern number 1. Let's check out number 2 now. We're gonna now be playing in sequences of 4. So check this out. So again, let's break that down really slowly. Remember that since this is in patterns of 4, we're going to be accenting the first beat on every 4th note. And the pattern for this exercise is going to be exactly the same as the previous one, where we go down 3 strings, up 1, down 3, up 1. So let's check it out real slow. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then up a string, 3, 4, okay, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it doesn't sound very melodic when I slow it right down, but let me play it real slowly for you again. I'll highlight the ones. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, and sort of faster. And the same in reverse here. So that was pattern number 2 there. The very last pattern that I want to share with you is in patterns of 3. Not only are we going to be accenting on downstrokes, but we're also going to be accenting on upstrokes here. Now this is a very interesting point because everything that we've done so far accents the downstrokes, which is actually relatively easy since you just put a bit more power into your downstrokes. But now we're going to be training your upstrokes at the same time. So here we go slowly. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So as you can see, I'm really throwing the accents on the first count of every 3, and the consequence of that number is that you're going to have to accent some of the upstrokes, which can be a little bit harder and a bit more exhausting, but essentially you do the same thing as you do when you go down, you just do it up. Those are the 3 dynamic examples that I want to share with you today. We played them over the very common basic pentatonic shape there, but you can of course implement that over any pentatonic shape that you're aware of, and even try it across certain scales if you dare. Now if you find these exercises a little bit tricky and you want something a bit simpler to really work on your dynamics, then you can take just one note on one string and accent every 4 counts, for example. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That kind of thing. You can do it in patterns of 3, patterns of 6, whatever you like. Let's try patterns of 3 now. So the challenge within these exercises and dynamics in general is having the ability to play both hard and soft very quickly and being able to interchange very quickly. Because with the accent notes, you really want that pick to dig in a little bit. You really want to put a bit more force behind your picking motion. And then for the other notes that you're not trying to accent, you want to soften up as much as possible and play them as quietly as possible by not having so much pick going over the string, and also by having very minimal movements as you pass through the strings. Being good at this and being in control all the time can be a very challenging skill, so definitely don't overlook this as being too easy, since these are just pentatonic sequences, because yes they are, but I'm really trying to highlight the dynamic possibility that you can have in such a simple sequence. Now if I combine a few of those sequence ideas into a short lick or a riff, you might have something that sounds like this. Now, as I was passing through that pattern, I was fully aware and fully conscious of which notes I specifically wanted to highlight. And that is also your goal, being able to play, being able to improvise and highlight specific notes that you want to target as you go along. Now, again, just for demonstration, let me play that same phrase, but I'm going to play it with 0 dynamics. So again, just like the first demonstration, sounds great, I've got all the notes in there, but it's not very dynamic when I do that, and that's not very engaging, it's not very impressive, and that's the power of dynamic control. So spend time on this, and even go back over some of the songs that you already know, try and implement more dynamics, and of course for the future, everything that you learn, really be mindful of this and implement it into everything that you play. So that is the end of the video. If you would like to support more content like this and download the tabs for all of the examples and demonstrations that I played throughout this video, then please check out my Patreon page, which is linked in the description below. If you would like a greater understanding of how to play pentatonics across the entire neck, then perhaps you also want to check out my practical guitar theory course, which is also in the description below. And until next time, I will see you in the next video.